For over the last 12 years, the Minions have been creating havoc for all of our lives, and now we have the 5th installment in this entire Despicable Me and Minions franchise titled Minions: The Rise of Gru. This is the sequel to the prequel that came out back in 2015. I hated that movie, but thankfully, this one's a lot better. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're discussing Minions: The Rise of Gru. In the 1970s, young Gru tries to join a group of supervillains called the Vicious Six after they outs their leader, the legendary fighter Wild Knuckles. When the interview turns disastrous, Gru and his minions go on a run with the Vicious Six hot on their tails. Luckily, he finds an unlikely source for guidance, and, well, Minions, shenanigans, and all sorts of things ensue. So, as a little bit of a background, I have actually never reviewed a single Minions film on this channel, so it's kind of cool to be able to talk about this, because the first two Despicable Me movies I thought were awesome. I love those movies. I think they're sweet, sincere, funny, and just, they are easily the best Illumination movie. Like, flat out, those were like lightning in a bottle, especially that first one. Then they decided to give a spin-off prequel movie to the Minions to discover where are their origins. And I hated that movie. I thought the first 20 minutes of that, maybe the first 10, 12 minutes, was funny. But the shtick got old in that film. And you can't make a film just off the damn Minions. And when you have other human characters you really do not care about at all in that film, that really doesn't work. So I completely skipped out on Despicable Me 3. I was done with this franchise. I was done. And when it comes down to other Illumination movies, they just really haven't worked out much for me. Kid fodder animated films. Minions: Rise of Gru, I didn't even watch a trailer for. I was like, cool, Mini Gru, that with the Minions. What else is there going to be here? Thankfully, I was surprised by how fun this film was. It's not great, but it's in like the middle of all the other Despicable Me movies, I would say. It's fun. Like, that's exactly how I walked out of this. And my girlfriend thought it was like the funniest thing. Like, she loved this, and she loves this franchise. She wasn't the biggest fan of the first Minions either, but she loved this. And there's a couple things that I really feel like this film works wonders on, and why I actually think this is not just the funniest animated film so far of 2022. I don't know if it's going to remain to be that way, but this is easily the funniest one so far. There hasn't been too many. But it's a film that kids can enjoy and adults can watch with their kids. And you're either going to be on the same wavelength of this humor or you're not. But this film did a couple things that a lot of animated films don't do anymore nowadays, that really only Disney and Pixar do. And I was very surprised to see that I didn't even notice until I'd left the theater. And I'm happy Illumination actually did it this time. So we're going to talk about those guys. If you guys are new here and you do like talking movies, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because I do have a lot of early movie reviews coming up soon. Thor, Love and Thunder very soon. Stranger Things Volume 2, Season 4. Lots of cool stuff. Make sure again to hit that like and subscribe button, and comment down below your favorite character from the Despicable Me franchise. Starting with my pros, one of the things I do want to talk about is what Illumination does really well with this film, and what I was really surprised. A lot of my big issues with tons of the movies, and even the previous Minions film, and even from what I saw from Despicable Me 3, because I didn't finish the film, but I saw moments of it. So many animated films do this nowadays, where you have poppy, catchy, fun songs, maybe even harken back to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and you play on that nostalgia a bit. Where you play songs and there's a dance sequence or a montage to that, and it's fun and it's joyful and it makes you want to dance. One of the big crimes to one of the films that had done this was Scoob did this, which I didn't mind Scoob. It was fun. I thought it was kind of cool. But the music for those musical montage moments always ruins stuff for me. Minions doesn't have that. They didn't put that in there. In fact, they also didn't even play on the nostalgia of the 1970s. Yes, there's some people dressed up, and there's some fun things like that, and some fun jokes that adults will very much pick up on, but kids will not. Those are the things that work for here, like the nostalgia. And I was really happy to see that they didn't just phone in the poppy, catchy stuff. They didn't phone in the nostalgia stuff. They didn't phone in any of that. They could have easily made all the jokes pop culture references that will not hold up for years to come. They actually just made fun jokes, and I was very pleasantly surprised by that. And to add in, I would say almost every joke lands, especially with the minions, because they use them to a great capacity. Not to further the story, but as great comedic relief to all the other elements going around in here. Because for me, I've never thought Gru was the funniest character. It's always the way that he interacts with the minions and how the minions try to help him that really work it out. And the minions have a couple fun subplots in here. You know, Gru gets to go on his own adventure, and you kind of get to see where he learns everything that he does. But it's also the minions screw up at one point, and they have to fix that. They have to solve that. So how do they do that? And there's a subplot pertaining to Michelle Yeoh's character who teaches them Kung Fu, which is awesome. And I love that entire moment. And that entire subplot was hilarious. And then there's another minion who's going on a journey to find something that he lost of Gru's, which was hilarious. And for an hour and 27 minutes, it just flies by like that. Like, it doesn't drag, it doesn't harken in or touch on any of the emotional points, which I'll talk about. But it was just fun. Like, and those hilarious beats work. Also, there's one sequence at an airport that I lost my damn shit at. If I was feeling a little bit better, because I'm still pretty congested from being sick over the last few days, I would have loved that moment. I would have probably busted out laughing even harder than I did, but it's a film that just brought joy to me, and I haven't felt that in a Despicable Me film like that much since the original one. So that was kind of surprising. And the other thing to say is that while it is predictable in every single element, you know exactly where everything's going to go, I love what they did with Gru and this character that Alan Arkin plays called the White Knuckle. And their kind of banter they have with one another is awesome. The other villains they put in here are a lot of fun too. This is just a movie that contains a lot of family fun. And I was surprised by that. Now, I will say this. If you've never liked the Minions before, you've hated them all the time, this film will not change your mind one bit. You're still going to probably hate them after this movie. You're going to hate that your kids made you go see this film. But for someone who used to really like them, this film kind of got me back on board where I'm like, you know, I do want to see more of them. I do want to see more of these characters. And I think the directors, the writers, they kind of understood how to course correct this franchise in a better light. Let's jump into my cons, because like I mentioned, as fun as this movie was, I think there are some things that hold it back. And one of the things is the humor. Humor is definitely going to be subjective to how dumb or stupid you want something to be. Very much reminding me of something from the Three Stooges. And I grew up in some of that era with my father, so some of that harkens back to that for me. But for me, the one thing that really holds the original Despicable Me up for me so much was the emotion of it all. How much you really love those characters. Minions Rise of Gru, there's never really a character you latch on to. There's no emotional arc, even when it tries to, truly enough. And while there's a message to be said here, it kind of just gets lost in the cannon fodder of all the crazy insanity that's going on within the film. Because it moves so fast, it never has time to really breathe, touch on. Which there's good things to that, and there's bad. The bad stuff is it doesn't really develop your characters anymore. It doesn't really develop anything past just the one-dimensional page that we already know these characters to be. And you really much know where everyone's going to come out to be in the end. But then there's the pro of, hey, we're moving fast and we're just having a fun time with the movies. But, you know, it is a wild adventure. And maybe you do need sometimes to take that break, to just slow down a bit and give this character a little bit more progression. Something that might even tie into the later films. Because one of the other cool things about this film is it does show certain things to how Gru got to where he was. And I would have liked a little bit more of those slower beats kind of getting into there. Not just the Easter egg, oh, hey, I know who that is. Oh, hey, I know what that is. Those type of elements. But honestly, Minions Rise of Gru was a surprise. As someone who really liked the first Despicable Me, I thought this was a lot of fun. The animation is really stellar, and it's easily the best looking animated, like, Illumination Minions film yet. And the Minions are back in the side character supporting role, with Gru still being the main one, but the Minion subplots work in here. They carry a story that adds to Gru's, and as well as just brings a lot of fun for the entire family. Adults, if you're on the same wavelength of these characters, then you're going to have fun with with it. It is a bunch of insanity. It is a short film, but it's one that I overall enjoyed, even with some of its faults. So with all that said, I'm going to give Minions Rise of Gru a B-. Thank you once again, guys, for watching this. You guys are really all the best. I cannot wait to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. Look forward to a lot more reviews coming up soon. And, of course, until next time, make sure to also head on over to Hamilton Films on how to see films early. But stay classy, everyone.